colder than it was last night.
It said it was supposed to be 41, but there's no rain. It's not windy. Y'all can handle it.
Yeah, we got
from
this.
Ohio.
Like 2 days ago.
Look, our blood is thin, dear. Like, it's cold. Like, literally, there's hot hands in the palm of my gloves.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So, she's got them in her pockets.
I just have my little ear muffs on. It's not that cold, is it?
It is when you're out here all the time.
I'm a little fluffy, so I have more insulation.
Thermal imaging. So,
Right.
real deal. You guys obviously know we're looking for cold spots with this.
Mm-hmm.
So, blue and black are going to be our colder areas, obviously. So, we're looking for those areas to move. Does this capture something every night? It does not. However, I do get about 4 or 5 solid pieces of evidence per year.
Okay.
So, I won't actually get that evidence unless we're recording. The hardware is great. The software sucks.
Okay.
I'm going to give you starts and stops. It's already recording. We're going to keep it on for a little while. I may reset it in about 15 minutes or so just to make sure the temperature is, gauged and all of that stuff, because sometimes it runs a little warm when it's been in my bag. But you're going to get the full recording back. So I do splice in all those pieces together. I'll tell you when to start and stop it. That's the orange button on the left-hand side of the screen there. There's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. I have it set up that way on purpose. It shows you the coldest area in the frame at that moment. Okay, there's also center crosshairs. If you see something you want to measure directly, just move the camera.
Kind of showing in a window.
I don't see an orange dot, though.
It's going to be blue.
Oh, blue dot?
It's going to be a blue dot moving around.
No, to start and stop.
Oh.
You mean in the center?
This guy.
Okay, I'm like...
Yeah, it's recording right now.
Yeah.
But when I ask you to restart it again, we'll stop it and take it a break and start it, make sure the camera's on your left-hand side.
Okay.
Just because if you restart it and it's upside down, YouTube doesn't know the flippies. So
Gotcha.
it's a bad deal and it's an ugly video. So we want to watch upside down. So that one's going to go to you.
Okay.
And we're going to show you more about that at the first location.
Make sure you're warm. Yep, you're good. Oh, your eyes are super glowy.
So your spirit box, Bryce, want to get me a set of headphones out of there?
Yeah.
So your spirit box, I'm sure you're familiar with these already, but this one is going to sweep through the FM radio stations. Mine are slowed down compared to the ones you hear on TV. I do that on purpose because you guys aren't trained to actually listen to this white noise all the time. So I want the radio chatter to come through. So when you hear a song lyric, a DJ, a commercial, anything you can make out, I want to know what it is. So that way we can see if it's actually... I'll plug them in. He's going to have to unwrap them. So you are going to have a set of earbuds. Most people just use one, so that way you can actually hear the stories too. Cool thing about this spirit box is it's recording the entire session for us. It's recording right now. So it's not going to hear any outside noise. So even the things that he hears, I'm only going to spot check it tomorrow. You have to remember, when I have a whole group of 10, there's a good 7 to 9 hours worth of data there. I don't go through it all. I spot check it all and kind of see what I see, put it in the analysis because there might be a theme there, and then you guys find whatever else you're going to find. That's what you guys paid for.
Okay, cool.
So hence why my tickets are more expensive than everybody else's, because I'm putting you to work. So you're going to have to unravel, get the little twisty tie off of there, but your volume button is right here at the top. So it's a little wheel. You don't want to hit the button because then you'll mess up the recording. You don't need to hit any other button. It's already set up as slow as it can go. So again, I'm going to tell you more about this first location. This is usually when I have my groups of 10. So that way, I can get these devices out there quickly into their hands.
Okay.
Right now, the 4 of us are just going to focus on the devices that record, that give us the most data.
Okay.
This is the one London's going to be using. It's a lot different than the one he's using. So this one's going to give us a few words in the center of the screen from time to time. It's going to save all those words into a list. Last night's tour actually had quite a bit. They had 103 terms pop up. However, only about 6 of those were actually relevant. When I say relevant, I mean relevant to the location of where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or something even going on with one of us. It might actually come up with, tiger print, whatever, animal print, something.
Gotcha.
Even the same thing on his. So we never know where the answers are actually going to go.
Okay.
On TV and the YouTube videos, they like to use one device at a time. I love to get as many out there as possible because you just never know what's actually going to work and what's not. So that way there's an opportunity for any kind of activity or communication to come back.
Okay.
So London knows how to use this guy already.
Do I?
You are going to get the full list of that back. The cool thing about that is I'm going to tell you the ones that are relevant. I'm going to put them in bold, tell you why, and then give you a link to verify the information.
Wow.
So again, there's a lot that goes into this when you guys get your data back. So not only are you going to have 2 hours of audio, 2 hours of this guy, so 4 or 5. You're going to have about 5.5 hours worth of data. Not to mention, you're going to probably have another 4 to 5 hours worth of reading to do to make sure you're learning more about each of these pieces of history. So there's a lot that goes into this. I know younger crowds, they get a little bored with some of the history. I try to make it as exciting as I can because I don't just go after, okay, Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
This is the reason why we're talking about this. So again, there's going to be a lot of resources once we're completed.
Love it.
I am going to pull out an EMF reader just so that we have one on hand. So that will kind of stay in my bag on the side so everybody can see it. Basically what this is measuring, just so everybody knows, except for London, because Shady does know, any electrical, anything, this is going to, so like that phone, it's going to measure those. And then with any kind of parking meter, it'll measure that as well.
Okay.
However, if we do see these lights go a little bit erratic instead of into a pulse, it's not something man-made.
Okay.
So basically we're waiting for this thing to go nuts. So it'll just kind of stay in the side pocket. Everybody can keep an eye on it for me. So that covers all of the devices that we're going to be using. Let's talk about why we started here. Did you guys eat at Big John's or did you guys just stop in there?
No, we ate.
Okay. How was it?
It was pretty good.
So they just reopened a few months ago.
Okay.
It used to be called Big John's back in the day. But they just reopened 3 months ago, something like that. So I've been asking everybody that stops there, but we start here for a reason because of course it's haunted. See,
really?
That's why we use one here. But
It's like it's just going low and then.
Yep. It goes all over the place. So even if you miss stuff tonight, Bryce, it's not a big deal. You're going to get the full recording back tomorrow. But it's always fun to catch things in real time. So that's why we do things in real time. Most of the time for actual evidence, it's usually a 40-60 split. 40% comes from the field, 60% comes from the research.
Okay.
So, and that's just from experience of doing this 6 nights a week. So, Big John's, let's talk about this place. You guys ate there?
Yep.
This is actually named after a football player, believe it or not, Big John Kennedy. So Big John used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not.
Huh.
One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. He has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty pissed off.
Right.
They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's happening. He gets up and just starts beating the hell out of these guys, just pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet lands in the wall in the front of the bar. John goes back to the bar after being shot and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor in an ambulance.
Right.
Nobody died in that story. So what's haunting the place is the bullet hole that is allegedly still in the front of the bar. I haven't been inside since they renovated it, but even still, John's blood is in this building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache.
What did I say?
She did.
What did I say? We were sitting between, like, right where the name is, and I kept saying, every time I eat this food, I get nauseous.
And she was like really dizzy when she came back from the bathroom. She's like,
Yes.
I was like really dizzy while walking past the bar.
I'm empathic, by the way, so I'm very sensitive. So, like, I had to stop eating. I couldn't finish food because every time I took a bite, I got nauseous, and I felt like I was going to puke.
And
So
she
my
normally
point is
doesn't.
proven.
She normally doesn't feel like that when
That's
She normally doesn't feel like that when
No,
she
I don't.
eats food like that. She like loves food like that, but she's.
Yeah,
I was
steak's
like,
my favorite food.
I was
steak
wondering
and
if
no
like
cheese.
something was wrong and she wasn't feeling. She was like sick or something.
We were like,
'cause
oh,
she
the
never
cream
feels
sauce
that.
must be bad.
So I will tell you, I tell this story because it is a heated warning. If you guys feel any of those symptoms throughout the night, I kind of need to know.
Okay.
Like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
We'll tell you a story at the last stop about how somebody actually passed out from the tour.
Okay.
And it wouldn't have been the first time. It's just very significant to that actual story, which is why I tell it. So,
Sweet.
But again, if you guys are feeling any of those symptoms throughout the night, we
That's so
we definitely
crazy,
need to
Bryce.
know.
That's crazy.
But again, you just proved my point.
Yeah, got
It's-
super nauseous. I even had to get up, go to the bathroom. I thought I was going to puke.
Let's talk about something a little happier than our own health. You know we had a big earthquake here in 1886, right?
Right.
Okay, so the mantle in the middle of the building, a piece of it broke off from the earthquake in the front, killed somebody, and they say you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Now this is also apparently the first death from the earthquake happened at this building. I say allegedly a lot with that story because I don't have any proof.
Right.
It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour.
Gotcha.
So, are you ready to go ghost hunting? All right, let's go learn more about your device. Let's go this way. It's going to be very quiet tonight, too, by the way. Boston Pops are playing at the Gilliard Center.
Oh,
so
good.
everybody's up there. And there was another party that was for tonight that they canceled. So, it happened.
Well, good for us, right?
What's that?
Good for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's always fun to see more devices. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That's funny. I'm hearing like it sounds like a radio, like
It is a radio.
like a cop radio.
Oh, okay.
I keep hearing words like "are we" and "will we."
So, London's words so far actually have the word hernia and painful in there.
Uh-huh.
And you were talking about eating, and you were a little nauseous.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up to see if John ever had any kind of hernia problems. Just in case. I don't know that off the top of my head. Again, I'm not here to make stuff up. So,
The kind of made like a sentence. It's like, "Are we or will we all," like, and then it faded away.
but then if you take both what you heard and what London's words are, it's almost like a full sentence. Are we hernias painful? So again, broken up, we don't know what the actual message is, if it actually is one. So at this point, until I actually have proof that he had any kind of hernia problems, it won't be highlighted until I find that proof.
Okay.
So
Super cool.
we stop here for, this is again group of 10. London and I will go through and help everybody with a little bit more tactics with their devices. With just the 4 of us tonight, this will be very brief. I will tell you, at the end of it, people do not like their cars being filmed. So we will stop in a few places tonight where there's going to be cars like this. So if somebody's going to their vehicle, you're simply holding a cell phone very casually, just so you know. And we started using headphones because this is a place where they keep the horses for your carriage rides. So I don't know which...
And they get spooked by.
They do get spooked by the white noise. We also use lasers, depending on how many people are here. So lasers also don't go on that building because we've spooked a few horses in our day.
Okay.
Just with the lasers. But the history here is really simple. This is the same red barn where we held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So usually what I tell people, there's usually 4 spirit boxes running when I have a group of 10. I tell them this is not TV, this is not any kind of YouTuber kind of video. We don't ask yes or no questions. Because if you say, somebody here, like everybody wants to ask,
Right.
and you hear the word no, that means somebody's here.
Because they said no.
Right.
Right.
That's the point. So we're going to go after specific details tonight. With every location, we're going to talk about what type of spirits we're working with and how to ask questions and what kind of questions you can ask. I will always give you some questions that you can ask. And London and I may even separate from the 2 of you in certain spaces.
Okay.
Just to kind of give you, I mean, most people don't like the teacher hanging around. So that way you guys can actually get the gist of how these devices work.
Didn't you talk about the girls, about the bar when we were back there?
No girls, cadets.
Cadets. The Citadel cadets. The ones that you see always have on the blue uniform and the hat and the bald head.
Those are...
We call them knobs sometimes. Where Hampton Park is, where we take the pictures, the Citadel's right there. I told you Mimi used to be the curator of the Citadel Museum. That's why they're like military. It's like a military school.
I was waiting for you to mention Marion Square, too, if you're going to go back that far. Because that's the old Citadel.
It said, "Please go." Like it said something about that way.
Okay.
And you're still on painful?
Yes.
So, the history here, I would usually tell my Spirit Box team when I tell them to spread out, which we're not going to because we want to make this very brief. I would say ask questions you already know the answers to, like what color is the big red barn? Obviously the answer is red, so London's going to be looking for
Don't
red.
look.
You're going to be listening for red. However,
Said don't look.
don't blink.
Don't blink. Okay.
However,
opposite.
if the word red is not in that vocabulary, they might grab onto another word that makes sense. Heart, blood, fire truck. All 3 of those things
Something
are
are red.
specifically red.
Okay.
So again, it won't be like shoes or t-shirt. It'll be something very specifically red. So just the other night, we actually had the word cardinal show up because cardinal you think of as red. Now females are yellow. I'm a bird guy, sorry. But I corrected the lady. I'm like, they're not always red though. She's like, but they're primarily red.
Yeah.
When you think of a cardinal, they're red. So I was
The
like,
males are the red ones.
Yep, we'll take it. So, but that's kind of what we're looking for here. It's not always going to be a direct like, hi, I'm John. You know, I played for the Giants. So we're always going to be looking for keywords too, because they're going to grab onto anything that they want to. So over there, the keywords would have been 47, because that's the year he played, New York, and Giants. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. His name was John. Anything dealing with a bar, Obviously, we get things around his neck and throat a lot. Like, those terms will show up there quite often. So, again, it just depends on the night. Now, I never know what's going to happen. That's the beauty of this career. I could tell the same stories over and over again. This might be a great night for paranormal activity. Might be a dead night. I have no idea. I never know until I get out here. And I will kind of let you know at the end, like, how things went. Is it mediocre? Was it heavy? Was it super light? You know, that kind of thing based on what I see in real time.
Okay.
I can't tell if it said noose or nuke. It sounded like it, like when you talk about neck, get hung by a noose.
You can tell. Well, we'll listen. He'll listen to it to see if he can
really
hear
can't
it.
tell because, like, in mid-word, it just goes like somebody sounds like they're just breathing into the mic, like they're going.
Yep. It's very quick. It's not an easy task that he has tonight.
Okay.
So that is the hardest job that I hand out because I'm asking him to use his senses like he doesn't normally use them.
Okay.
So he has to focus on what I'm telling him along with what's going on in the spirit box. Like he's got a lot. You could see him looking up a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's got a lot going on. As far as your camera goes, we try to keep somebody in view, like somebody's skin tone, because we're going to be the warmest thing out here, even on a hot summer day.
Yeah, I got her in it.
Only because with that, you want that array of color. I'm sure you noticed if a person leaves your frame, it kind of bleeds into a little bit. Like it's all going to turn red, orange, and yellow.
Yes.
And there's not going to be a whole lot of differential. So with London being in there, I'm sure she's yellow or white.
Yes.
And then you have a lot more blue in the picture.
Yes.
So again, if you take her out of the picture.
Yeah, when I scanned over there was just trees, everything turned bright. And I'm like, that's interesting that the trees are reading warm.
They're reading warm because that's what's in the frame.
Okay, that's the warmest thing that's in the frame.
Right.
Okay.
So it's only going to read what's in the frame. It's also only going to read solid objects. So if we have the sky in view, that blue dot is going to default to the sky and probably read a negative number, especially in a chilly night like this, because it doesn't have anything to measure.
Okay.
So we try to keep the sky out and a person in.
Okay.
So some of these spaces, it's going to be impossible to keep the sky out of here. What's up
I
there?
heard quarterback.
Quarterback?
Oh.
And then I heard shadow, and then all three, and then sorry.
Interesting.
Like he's sorry he beat them up, and there's 3 of them in the story you told. And then you talked about the ghost that you see in
The story
the
I
street.
have, I think, is 2 cadets.
Yeah, 2 cadets plus Johnny's talking
Yeah.
about that equals 3.
Okay.
He said all 3, and then you talked about the ghost in the street, right? It said shadow. Either I don't know if it was from the bullet or the ghost in the street.
Interesting. So I'm going to write all of those things down because in real time, like I might not catch that on my spot check.
Okay.
So that's why I write a lot of that stuff down. So at the bottom, it'll say real-time notes based on location. So I'll kind of separate it so you kind of know which story it goes to. So let's go learn some real history. What do you think? You don't have anything else?
Atmosphere began.
Atmosphere. Weren't we just talking about the sky?
Yep.
We were. Interesting. It's going to be an interesting night. Last night was kind of a half and half. We had some very, like, oh my god, check this stuff out, but I didn't catch it until this morning when I was going through the data itself.
Wasn't there a piano in the restaurant? I can't remember.
No, I don't think so.
Did you hear the word piano, or did you just hear it?
I'm hearing a bunch of piano. It's mostly piano more than any other song.
Like someone playing the piano?
Yeah, someone playing the piano.
Okay.
When I heard shadow, it said, you know the song, "For shadow, for shadow." Didn't you dance listen to?
No, but okay. I believe you.
I think someone's beating up the mic. No piano.
And watch where you're stepping, okay.
So, welcome to another weird space of Charleston. So, yes, I know it's another parking lot.
Parking
It's
lot.
not your normal line. It's a beautiful spot. Put your own lines right, Dad.
Wow. Again, stuff is memorized, so somebody else is starting to memorize my lines. So, this used to be the Pinckney Mansion site. So, you've been here since
82.
82, so this was probably Molly Darcy's in your day. But you said you didn't come down here much.
No.
Okay, so there was a restaurant here called Molly Darcy's.
Okay.
But the history that I tell is the origination of this spot, which was the Pinckney Mansion. So
Okay.
that's Charles and Eliza Pinckney. So the mansion stood in the front of this lot. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across. And then the slave and servant quarters were in the back to the home. So the Pinckneys owned quite a few slaves. They were all over their plantations and different houses. The ones that lived here obviously served the
I'm
home.
pretty sure the EMF just said see pink.
Sea pink. You have soul. Supreme Soul. So, Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew, signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. So, pretty big deal for us.
Charles Pinckney?
Yep.
Okay.
What's that?
Are here. Clearly, I heard are here.
It's going to be good. So, let's see. We don't talk about politics because normally when I have my tourists, like, they don't want to hear about South Carolina politics.
Yeah.
So I just mention that to see if something else is going to pop up around it. But let's talk about Eliza. She's way cooler anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age. I'm not going to tell you how old she was. I will tell you that Charles was over double her age. So when I say that she married him young, it's according to today's standards, not the colonial time standards that we're actually discussing.
Okay.
So kind of keep that in mind when you're listening for numbers. I'm also not going to give you questions like what color was George Washington's white horse either, like what we did with the Red Barn. You're not going to get the answers from me until before we leave.
Okay.
So it kind of keeps you subjective, so that way you don't know exactly what you're listening for.
So if I know it, don't say it. So if he hears it, he'll say, okay,
Exactly.
gotcha.
So Eliza married Charles at that young age because her father over in England thought he was dying, right? He wanted to see all of his kids one last time. She didn't think he was dying. So instead, she got married to Charles, and Dad gets better. So Eliza was right. Dad starts sending gifts over from England to this space where she lived. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye, that makes our blue jeans blue. London's got it on right now. That's how we use it today. So with that, she didn't know how to keep it cultivated. It obviously doesn't stay warm here, so she had to learn from her Gullah slaves on how to keep it going. Once she figured it out, she moved it up to Mount Pleasant. To their plantation over there, calls her dad and says, I need someone to sell this to because the rice plantations are going downhill. They're not making that much money. We can make a killing with the indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, which was absolutely unheard of.
When you said dad, right after I heard dad, and then a few minutes ago I heard he, and then like muffled, like he did something, or like maybe like he lied.
He's hearing a lot, which is good. Some people have a hard time hearing anything out of it. So he's just...
That would give me anxiety.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to listen to for more than 15, 20 minutes at a time. That's why I say turn the volumes up and down. You know, when I'm telling the history, obviously you want to keep it down a little bit so you can hear both of us. But let's get into the weird stuff about Eliza. So Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. So both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L, ironically. So that way we know which one we're talking to. You can ask which one, what their maiden name was. So now we're dealing with 3 different Charleses and 2 Elizas.
That makes it
When you were
complicated.
talking about the Elizas, like somebody shouted demon.
Definitely not demon in this area.
I know, but it sounded like they put like D and then mun from 2 different songs, and it was like high pitch and then low pitch.
I'll definitely have to focus on that. So it's 8:23. We're probably about close to 30 minutes in. So I'll definitely be listening for that just to make sure. This is definitely not a dark space. So obviously you can ask what happened to the mansion. It's not here anymore.
Right.
Then we can ask when that tragedy happened. So that way I'm giving you the clue that yes, it was a tragedy that happened to the house. Eliza's death, ask anything you want to. She's very open. Ask her how old she was when she died, what did she die from, where she buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. You got something else?
Yeah. When you said what age she died, I heard like either 80 or 30.
No.
I couldn't tell. It was either 80 or 30.
Nope. And neither of those numbers actually mean anything to this space. I know a lot of the birthdays of the kids and the husbands and all that stuff, so none of those numbers mean anything.
So do you want him to ask, or is he
Oh, yeah,
just
he's gonna
listen-
ask.
Okay, so you're going to be asking the questions. He's just giving you ideas of what to ask.
Right. The kids, there's more than one, but don't poke the bear on this one. There is a tragedy among the kids that if we do ask too many questions about that tragedy, all activity will stop. I haven't checked the EMF meter yet. Is it going off?
I can't see it.
I can't see it either.
It's on the other side.
Maybe?
Other side?
Yeah, it's on the other side. It's all the way up.
Okay.
It's right underneath your crystal skull.
Very true. But maybe ask how many kids she had, get their names, and just leave it alone. I think
Mama Bear comes out.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it will stop. Like, no EMF whatsoever.
Okay.
So, again, I'm going to check you guys in. What I will tell you about the camera again. No vehicles. People get a little funny that way. So just kind of casually hold it. You can pay attention tonight, but you can also listen in with him if you want to. Lyndon is going to walk with you to kind of show you maybe some of the hot spots around the lot. We're going to stay here for a good 10 minutes or so, just kind of see what happens. If anything does happen, obviously we'll stay longer.
Okay.
If we can keep things going.
Did you say president?
I did say president.
They just said president. They yelled, he sent. I think it said he sent, and then presidents.
Presents or president?
Presents.
Presents.
I'm saying president. So there was a president that acted as a pallbearer at her funeral, which means he took her to her grave. He was one of the people that carried her.
But didn't you say when he acted sick, and after he
Some
sent
presents.
He sent her he sent her presents
Oh,
after the
presents. Gotcha.
husband
I was
didn't
thinking
die.
like there's a presence here.
No,
Presents.
gifts.
Gifts. Got it. Okay. You got a lot going on and a lot I got to write down. You're going to keep my hands busy for sure.
Fraud.
But yeah, I'm going to check you guys in on the app and write down some of the things that I remember from over there and here that are actually going to be relevant to the spaces.
Okay.
But London's going to show you some of the hot spots.
The ones I remember are the ones that were said loudly.
And that's usually how it goes. There was you said quarterback, and what else was over there?
Quarterback, shadow, all three.
All three. And 80 and 30.
80 and 30 was over here.
I'm not going to say that
Okay.
80 and 30 aren't relevant. I'm just telling you as much research as
Not
I've done
that
on
you
the
know
pygmies.
of. Yeah.
Because I mean, there's going to be a lot tonight. I mean, you're doing a great job, almost too good of a job. To where I'm like, I got to rack my brain. Like, what could that mean? What could that
But
possibly
even
go?
the number 8 or 3.
It's when you do the number 80, you do
Uh-huh.
have to say the number 8. But when you say 30, you don't get the number 3.
Gotcha. So it's a physical word.
Yes.
Okay.
His, because it is slowed down. If you ask what color the big red barn is, you could get Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't need Rudolph the Nosed Reindeer. I just need red. It's going
Right.
to pick up words before and after.
If I was to get an answer, I'd probably play like the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song. Because it's playing a lot of Christmas music.
Yeah.
And it's mostly
Christmas
Christmas
time.
music and piano.
Okay.
I like
Well-
quarterback, shadow,
And all three.
and over here so far, I'm going to dive into 80 and 30, but if there's nothing there, I probably won't put it in the notes.
That's fine.
And then, pretty sure another one was something with pink. Like,
Sea pink.
that's what it was.
See, London remembers.
I try.
That's why I keep her
job.
around.
Yeah, not because I'm good at anything. Just because I like to remember stuff.
See, he comes and does my photography with me too when I do family shoots.
Yeah.
So I do the same thing to my kids. All right, I need a hand to hold the flash. You're coming with me, Bryce.
Well, Lyndon lives in Myrtle Beach, so she lives up there with her mom.
Okay.
So when she's down here,
You put her to work.
Well, not only put her
She
to work, she
thinks
wants to
it's
be here. She won't act like it, but this is what she looks forward to for 2 weeks at a time, don't you? See what I mean?
Yeah, I don't get the vibe that she doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, not at all.
I hate it here. Oh my god. I only come for the dogs.
I think she's being sarcastic. Just a little bit.
Oh, beach.
Nor. You shall not.
All right. Let's do
Is
a
there
little-
anything that any of the girls thought were special to them?
Yes, remember what he said? There was a kid that something bad happened, so let's not focus
She
on the
thinks it's
kid.
special.
She thinks she has a.
Like, she thinks it's special.
You heard it's special?
No, I literally heard a song lyric. She thinks it's special. Like, it went high and said she thinks it's special.
Okay.
That's why I nudged you, bro. Because I saw that you were saying something. So I was trying to, like, pay attention.
I love how it's playing all my favorite songs.
Well, good.
Means Eliza likes you.
Like I said, we're not dealing with any dark spirits tonight. You know, the demonic crap you guys see on TV,
Then
bogus.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in a little bit of physical stuff, like scratches and...
Depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It can affect you. I'm not going to say that it can't. I will tell you, the way I look at this is when I walk into a new space and I don't know anything that's going on, I look at it as how many jerks you actually run into during the day. There's not many of people that you would walk away and say, wow, that guy's a real asshole. Sorry about the French, but
You're
that's
good.
the same thing in
You're good.
this world, in the paranormal world. I'm not going to run into a whole lot of people that are going to be assholes to me. I walk in confident, I walk in respectfully,
Right.
You know, I'm here to learn about them specifically.
It's saying no one, because you were saying I'm not going to run into anyone that's rude.
Right.
No one.
Exactly. And it's very rare that I run into something that is dark where I'm like, yeah, we got to go. There's been spaces where, you know, somebody's been sick or they were affected, you know, something like that. That's also where we got to go. It doesn't mean that it's a dark spirit. It doesn't mean that it's malevolent. It doesn't mean that it's mean or a jerk or whatever you want to call it. It just means that it's just too much for that specific person. Most psychics, Russian. Most psychics don't make it through this tour. I'll just put it out there. Somebody tells me that they're an empath and that's what they practice.
No.
Then yeah, we're probably gonna have a problem. When somebody tells me they're an empath casually, the way that you did, okay, I'm gonna keep an eye on you, but I'm not.
Like
worried.
I'm getting nauseous right now a little bit, and a little.
What's the EMF readings?
It's blinking red.
Yeah, it's all the way up.
Like almost cotton mouthy, but
Okay, it's getting more when you turn your back. It's
Take
going
it out of
higher.
my back. Let's make sure it's not coming from something in the back.
Hi, Chatty.
Nope, definitely not the back.
Wow. It's hold on.
So that's definitely noteworthy.
not as nauseous as I was in the hotel, but like almost pregnancy nauseous.
Okay.
Like when you first get pregnant in the casino.
Well, I don't know that feeling.
Right, that's why I'm kind of explaining. When you first get pregnant, it's like, you know, if you go on a merry-go-round too much, you start feeling like a little queasy. That's kind of similar to what it feels like.
I'm hearing a lot of things. I'm hearing a lot of she.
She.
I'm hearing like she something or happy, or when you were talking about, again, when you were talking about you're not going to run into anyone, they said no one. You can talking, they said respect.
And he said, I walk in with respect.
Mm-hmm.
He said that word.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
that's 100% of the time, because if you don't,
Yep.
it's...
No one
you're
wants to
wasting your
play
time.
with an asshole.
Yeah,
I guess these people
Spirits don't
love
want to play
piano.
with anybody that's an asshole either.
they don't. Let's try the corner.
The corner?
Try the corner.
Oh, that corner. Look, the other corner.
Is that your favorite spot?
I like that corner.
That corner. So was the house this facing the street? So this would be the front of the
We
house?
actually sat broad on the street.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is unique for downtown, for a house to be long ways or
Do you
widthwise.
know why the houses are skinny in the front? Can go back long?
Because they had to pay for the frontage of the street. Their
Correct.
taxes were based, so they built skinny and long, so
Right.
they'd pay less taxes.
Correct.
Yeah,
So with the Pinckneys, them being a prominent political family,
that was to show their wealth.
exactly, those bragging rights.
I want to know, did anybody have like a fight with their lover or divorce or anything?
Not to my knowledge at this location. What are you getting?
They could afford it. With the house.
They can afford the house. They have
Can
lots of
afford
money.
the taxes.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good stuff right
Somebody
there.
said, hey.
I'm telling you, somebody's
Hey.
listening.
Hey.
Because everything he said so far has been relevant to what I've already told you.
Yeah.
And we're just talking about the taxes, the hernia. Like, somebody's listening in. And we don't even have a full moon tonight. Latter half of the year is usually the full moon. You get better activity. The first half of the year, it's usually a new moon. So, again, it just depends on the time of year.
Right.
This is, like, we had a great full moon, what was that, 3 or 4 nights ago?
Oh.
That tour was actually
was
really good.
Huge.
Yeah. Well, it was a halo moon too. So it was actually reflecting the sun a different way. So there was actually a halo around it. It was beautiful down here, but that actually gave us quite a bit of activity that night.
So if I were to ask them a specific question about me, will they put the answer on the box? Because clearly he can't answer because he would know it. But if I ask like,
Eliza's probably not going to know the answer, but if there's somebody that you brought with you,
right,
if they want to,
okay.
Probably be your grandma.
Well,
It's like,
Grandma doesn't normally attach to me though.
I understand that, but she was also there to help get rid of whatever.
No, what I pick up is other people's attachments, but I can't. They come to me when I sleep.
Okay.
So if we, after tonight, I have something happen in a dream, and you're clearly the only new person, the two of you are the only new people I've met for the night. And the dreams are different than a regular dream. Like I know it's a spirit dream and not just a regular dream.
Okay.
I can message you and be like, hey, is this, mean anything to you? And break down what happened in the dream, and 9 out of 10 times it's spot on.
Okay.
So it's not something that'll happen like.
But have you ever like taken that to the next level and started like maybe reading cards?
So I have witches in my family.
Okay.
And I've been told I have many talents. I just have to accept them and practice them, and I don't want to.
Why?
I just don't.
Okay.
I guess I'm not ready to, because it takes a lot out of you physically and emotionally. So, and I've only had one really bad one, and that was this past Halloween, this past October, and I don't think I can deal with that on a regular basis, like mentally. It's some of the stuff.
It's draining.
Yeah, it can be really.
It's very draining.
Yeah, really draining. And then trying to figure out to tell people a message if they're receptacle to that conversation or not, because a lot of people are like.
It's almost the same principle of what I'm doing out here.
Yeah, but I came to you knowing this. Like, I want to actively
But you know how many skeptics I
participate.
deal with?
Oh, yeah. I didn't
lot.
think about that.
There's a lot of things about Bro. I just heard woman again for like the 5th time.
Woman.
It's a lot about girls over here.
It's very female.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Eliza. She's a very prominent English woman. So her presence here is very feminine, and I can't explain that any other way other than it's going to be very feminine here. So if she's here, so if you're hearing those things, it's more than likely that we're going to have other terms or things that you're missing. But the same thing out here. I know you came to me knowing,
Yeah.
but a lot of people take this as a joke. It's
But why would you pay to go on
because
something
your husband or your significant other brought you here.
wants to do it?
Wants to do it because they're curious and don't know enough about it, so they want to talk to somebody like me. I'm not going to call myself an expert. I'm just going to call myself many hours in the field.
Knowledgeable.
Yes, but at the same token, I deal with a lot of skeptics. I deal with a lot with people that, I got thousands of dollars of equipment in this bag.
Yeah.
And they want to come here drunk.
No.
But again, it's on them. I don't do a tour if somebody's drunk. I'll walk away.
Right.
It's right in the notes. If you're intoxicated, under the influence of anything, I don't do the tour.
You have to be in the right mindset to do.
I have to be in the right mindset. Because
Right.
if I have to babysit,
No,
it's still
no
fun for me at that
babysitting.
point.
No,
I'm still
and
going
then
to get paid.
And depending on how many people you have in the tour, you have to worry about
Yep.
that. Take them into consideration too.
Sure.
No, I get it.
Yeah. It just
And that
depends
might
on
be
that.
why I don't come. I never really came down here because there's so much history. The one place that I do get pulled a lot to is Magnolia Cemetery, especially where the Hunley crew is buried. In that area, there's a lot.
There's some interesting stuff I've gotten from that area.
And the pyramid,
I've been drawn to that one too.
that one has wealth surrounding it, and the feeling of something tragic happened.
Now, I'll be honest, we normally, I don't tour to cemeteries on purpose. I
Yeah.
know the name says cemetery, but you're not going to get a whole lot of activity in cemeteries because most people hang out where they're buried. So, but Magnolia is one of the few that if somebody wants a legit haunted cemetery, I tell them definitely check out Magnolia.
When I do photo shoots out there sometimes, and not the last time, the time before, it completely wiped out all my equipment. I took 2 shots and everything died.
Wow.
And it was by that pyramid. So,
I was there 2 years ago when I did that investigation, so I can't remember. I didn't have all the high-tech stuff that you guys are using now. It was still...
No, I'm
very
talking about my
primitive.
photography
Oh, I
equipment.
know.
My battery, my flash, all that stuff.
But I remember it was cold, and I drove a lot of it. So it was I just drove to wherever I felt like whatever was pulling me to it, just to see if anything was going to happen. I got some decent words. Are you getting anything, by the way? Are you getting anything on your... What are you getting?
Well, I was standing over there when I heard down looking at this, and he said, listen to your radio.
Okay.
And then I heard another one while I was over here, walking towards me, it said England.
England. I like England. That one works. More females.
What's it
It
say?
says Mrs.
Mrs.
Still hearing a lot of she, her.
Let me get you guys some answers.
So she had daughters.
She had one.
She had one
Well, I'm
daughter.
going to go through all
But it's
this.
also talking about herself, too.
Sorry, what was the last thing? Oh, you said England.
Yeah,
England.
England.
Alright, so let me get you guys some answers so we know what we're actually working with. You can go ahead and stop your video, kind of give your hands a break. And just remember, people don't like to be filmed, so don't act like
So
a
when they
cameraman.
come back, I just go like this.
Yep, you got it.
Like I'm watching a YouTube video.
You got it.
The circle is like at the end of the alleyway, which is really funny because this is where we're going. Ooh.
Get anything out of that now?
Landing Beverly Hills.
Yeah, no.
I'm not full. Should we have a walk on these now?
You hear anything? I just realized I was going to that, wow. Okay, so you're getting the sign.
Two different songs came on. The first song, it said anchor, and then it switched to a different voice, and a male voice, and it said fruit.
Normally don't care about gender if it comes out of that box.
So I hear the voice in a male and female. Okay.
Well, yeah, because a male voice said female, so it doesn't really care about who's saying it.
Just the static. Then that's when I care about what it is.
Yeah, this was the song was going on, and then a voice said anchor, like a younger guy. And then it switched to a different song, but a different voice said fruit, and it was a older man.
That I care about is anchor.
Okay.
When we were walking across the street, I thought it was just showing somewhere in the random in the alleyway, but I realized it was locking onto the tower where the church is with the cross all the way on the top. It was locking in on that.
Stop here. So this is where you're still going to just kind of casually hang on to that phone. If you want to film down the alley behind me, you can. But remember there's people down there, so just be casual about it. So this is Philadelphia Alley. It used to be called Duelers Alley. So this is where all the duels used to occur for Charleston. We all tell the story, same story, because it actually happened. And I love telling this story because, again, a lot of evidence usually comes out of it. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. Now, Joseph was supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda, but she inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents, and the attorney that was handling that money told her to get rid of the doctor, that he's just after her cash. So the doctor moves to Charleston to prove that he's not. So he's going to start his practice down here and see how things go. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston, but somebody walking by with the name Ralph Isaacs. Keep in mind, you're ghost hunting. Initials mean something here. So Ralph Isaacs has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. So our I will show up here. We just need that secondary clue so we know who it belongs to. So Ralph says, you don't want to stay here, dude. This guy's trying to kill you. Let me take you somewhere else. I got some friends at 59 Church Street where you can stay. 59 will show up here quite often too. So with that, he rents the room from Ralph's friends. Him and Ralph become friends. So the doctor's practice starts to take off, which means Amanda's moving down soon. He's making lots of money. He's doing pretty well. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city has a whistler. Ours is a doctor. So
when you say whistler,
like he whistled all the time. He's a jovial guy. Like this is the late 1700s. So again, whistling around town was a thing.
right?
So he became known as the Whistling Doctor. So him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. So the hierarchy says you get better seats. They talk about the plays on the way home. One night they go see William III. They're arguing over the new actress. The doctor loved her. Ralph thought she was horrible. So the argument gets pretty heated, and Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. So they go their separate ways. So Ralph is from here. He's got friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Obviously, it wasn't very pleasant. The doctor sees that ad and rebuttals with, "Let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this." So they come down and they take her 20 paces. They turn. The doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to prove a point. He had the courage to show up to the fight. Ralph still has his one shot. Puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So the doctor didn't die. Instead, he's carried home and he's to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. Just a stubborn son of a gun. So they say as you walk through the alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. Do you hear how quiet it is right now? It is, well, you don't, but it is always this quiet.
It's
when you
not
walk
really
down.
hooking on to anything besides the electrical strings from the light poles.
Well, when you walk down
Not a
there,
follower.
very interesting.
Hmm.
At the end of this alley, if you guys ever walk down here on your own,
Nope.
one of the reasons why I got kicked out of this place is because those bricks at the end are sun-dried from slave children. We do have fingerprints.
Sun-dried?
They literally turn those bricks every hour
In the
until
sun.
in the sun.
Like you
Okay.
turn them when you're baking something.
Right.
By
Well,
the slaves, by the kids.
by the
Yeah,
kids,
yeah.
because it's an easy job. So we do have a full handprint and some fingerprints on those bricks towards the end. One night my group wanted to put an EMF meter near it and spirit boxes and all this crazy stuff, and the neighbor come out, flailing his hands, yelling
That's
at
so
me.
smart. I know.
But again, I treat it like it's a gravesite. You're not going to get a whole lot of activity out of a grave. That slave kid doesn't want to remember that damn brick with his handprint in it. It doesn't mean anything. So I usually just pointed it out because it's part of our history. You know, it just
people
shows
don't
how
remember.
hard we've
People
come.
don't want to remember the most miserable time in their life.
Right.
When they're dead and trying
Exactly.
to have a good
And
afterlife.
that
They
kid's
don't,
probably just hanging out with his family.
right? They don't want to remember like being slaves for
Right.
people and making bricks.
So it
Handmade.
is a very interesting piece, but at the same time, if you're ever walking down there, it's about 14 to 16 bricks in from the Queen Street side. Keep in mind with the Whistling Doctor story, locals actually all know the story, and they all throw a whistle down the alley. It's very easy to debunk. London and I actually throw a whistle down there every night on our way home. So, I mean, our garage is right over here, so we're going to end up on this next corner, and we walk past the
Yellow?
Yes. So, 59 Church Street is now called the Thomas Rose House. It is a big, giant yellow house.
Here?
No, on 59 Church Street.
Oh, where they took the doctor.
Right
Oh my
where he lived.
God.
It's yellow.
We also get the word rose here quite a bit too. There's a lot of word around this story between the duel and the competitiveness of it, the initials that come up. We
Ooh.
actually had bloodletting show up a few nights ago on the word list. So he probably died from bleeding
Blood
himself
poisoning
out.
or
Right.
something.
He probably tried to bleed himself out.
How did he do that though? It makes no sense.
His stubbornness.
Stubborn.
He's a doctor. He knows
would
what's
think.
going to happen.
Yeah, but it's
You'd
late
think he'd save
1700s.
himself.
So he's probably, his knowledge says, all I got to do is bleed it out and I'll be fine.
Gotcha. Because they did that a lot.
Right. So from here, we're going to actually go up and around the corner. We're probably going to run into some other tours. We'll kind of choose our own spot. London's list will kind of guide me on which stories to tell because that corner literally has like 15 stories. So if we don't see anything from there that I can find that's relevant to any of the stories that I know that are true, we're going to deep dive right into the female pirate at the Powder magazine, and that'll be our last stop. But we're going to see what London's list has given us so far. Anything crazy? Let me just take a look.
Can I switch back? Can I switch back?
Nope.
Hold on for a second. mad.
11 a.m.
That's kind of
11.
matches with the person that was like I was talking. They had like a very angry,
It could be
mad
Ralph's.
voice.
I'm gonna write it down just in case.
I liked Anchor and Fruit.
Yeah. Does that make sense with all the
It was
fishermen?
before we got out at probably
Gotcha.
where the light is, that deep into the alley we were walking out of. And like I said, most of these words is the same, like it's consistent, but it switched songs and voices, and they were right after each other. Just like it had to take it from 2 different songs to get the word out.
Yeah, they mix songs and put them together.
It said you're right.
It really did.
It just said you're right.
Again, this is, I like the specific details, the vague, like, hey, this is fun, or you're right. All that stuff is all fun and games, but
Yeah.
when you get stuff like yellow,
Yeah.
that's very specific. If we have the number 7 show up, that's the doctor's birthday.
That was really
I don't know what
cool.
11 is. It could be Ralph's birthday. I don't have that one memorized. So, but all I know as a doctor, it's easy because we hear the number 7 here all the time. He was born on July 7th, so it's 7/7. So again, we'll hear it twice.
That's really easy for him.
It
It's
was
the day
really,
after her birthday.
it was really cool when I said Mike and then it said Michael.
Well, she's
30?
got Michael on the list.
You got 32.
Yeah.
That's twice.
Yeah, I
You
got.
got near 30.
And this is always on 30. I smell meat. Food. Appear here. Definitely not creepy at all. Creepy. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. You got anything? You don't put both earbuds in.
Huh?
I said you don't put both earbuds in, you just put one in.
Yeah, but he's not talking to us, so I'm listening.
I'm talking to you. What do you think of this? I think it's pretty cool. This doesn't really get much. It really only, yeah. You put both earbuds in.
You do know we're recording, right?
Yes.
You could probably pause your recording here for a little while. So I'd like to point out a few things on this corner. Did you hear anything along the way?
Hands on my knee.
You talked about him didn't he get shot in the knee?
He got shot in the knee.
I heard a cat.
All right, a lot going on with this story, so if you want to turn that down just so you're not distracted.
Telescope.
Where the hell that would have came from.
Somebody said happy holidays.
No, that's.
So we're going to be talking about the powder magazine, which is the little building over there with the crosses on it. Those aren't crosses, those are earthquake bolts. You guys know what earthquake bolts are? So I don't have to explain those.
He doesn't, probably.
So earthquake bolts, if we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, the gist behind that is that they're on a turnbuckle. So if you tighten them, it'll straighten the building back up. That's what they're meant for, but it doesn't actually work. So the reason I like to point them out is because those are the very first earthquake bolts that we put in Charleston because of the nature of the building. It is the oldest government building in South Carolina. So when I say government building, Charleston actually has a building older than this. It's just not a government building. So the Pink House, I'm sure you've heard of the Pink House, built 1 year before this. There's just no official record of it. So it was finished in 1712. This building was finished in 1713. We talked about the walls earlier. This is the street where the wall came up. So it literally went up right past the powder magazine and started going south behind me towards the battery. It locks the powder magazine into a corner on purpose. If it gets attacked from cannon at the water 3 blocks away, it's going to have a hard time getting through. They wanted to keep it protected and far away from the water as they could. If it goes all the way through and blows up the gunpowder, there's sand in the roof from 1712 that will blow up in the air and fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder.
That's smart.
But it doesn't work either.
Oh.
We had another battery, which is where, obviously, or another powder magazine near the battery, which is where Magazine Street is now. So that's why it's called Magazine Street, because that's the powder magazine was there. It did get attacked, and the sand went up, and it couldn't put out the fire. It burned to the ground. So this one's just never been attacked, but it did serve in 7 different wars, including the Civil War.
So is the sand still up there?
The sand is still there.
Oh, wow.
They had to do some repairs before they turned it into the museum that we know now. And they obviously lifted up some of those shingles to repair them, and the sand is still there. Sand doesn't disintegrate.
Right.
So it's still there. Craziness. And that the way the building is designed, it will hold up the weight of that sand because it is a groin vaulted ceiling. I know I'm getting into architectural things with you right now, but I was super interested in this building just because of the way it's shaped and the way it is on the inside. You know, it's very...
So you can go inside that building during the day?
Oh, yeah, it's a museum.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
You know how many times I've parked right there and I never knew that?
Yeah. It actually holds all of the uniforms and artillery from the 7 different wars that it served in. It's literally like a 30-minute tour. It's like $5. It's well worth it to get in there.
Okay. We'll have to come check that out, Bryce.
I actually had a season pass in there just because they carry books that I can't usually get quick enough from Amazon because they're locals.
Yeah.
So I had a season pass in there because you get a discount. So, what you got?
I didn't realize we were over here. We were walking down the alley over there, and I said, "Oh, it looks like it's pointing at the end of the alley." It was actually pointing at up there.
What is pointing?
When I was using the camera, I thought it was pointing at the end of the alley in a car or whatever. It was pointing at one of the windows. Like, it just stayed there at one of the windows until I turned.
The little dot, the blue dot thingy? Oh, okay.
It kept going from the middle to the window.
I'll definitely have to watch the
See, I haven't been watching it. I'm just holding it. Because you said you would send it to us, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you get the full.
It kept hitting the window, but it kept going anywhere else, and then window.
Well, the window is always going to be colder than actual air because it's going to catch the breeze, especially being that high up. So, again, I'll look at it and see, because, it's always going to look at windshields, too, on cars. So, it's always...
Because of glass.
Right. It's the glass that's going to be colder.
So it's the glass on the window.
The reason I tell you all the history on the building is because the story actually begins in the middle of its construction. This little building took 10 years to build. So 1703 to 1713, that's the construction time for this. Our story begins in 1708. A young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack from Ireland. She's with her dad and his mistress, basically his girlfriend. The girlfriend is her mother. So, with that, the 3 of them are running away from his wife. So,
wait.
Yeah, lots of twists.
The pirate is...
Hang on.
Not yet. Okay, so you're talking about a girl was here with her dad and his girlfriend.
Right.
But you said that's her mother.
Right.
So...
She's with her parents.
But they're not married.
His wife, correct.
Okay, all right.
The 3 of them are running away from his wife.
Ah, all right. I'm following you now. Okay.
So, once they get here, they land in Georgetown. Mom dies pretty quickly. Dad starts sending Anne down to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation and any wares that they might have. So, to kind of keep things rolling along, obviously. This is a familiar ghost. We might not capture anything here, just so you know. Anne is said to be seen all over town. I just like to come here because the building is from her era. Gotcha. We don't have much here that's from that era. So anyway, Anne is also said to be kind of a badass. Back home in Ireland, they say she actually killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly when she was probably 7 or 8 years old. So again, she's pretty hardcore.
Kid?
So we're going to fast forward a little bit. 1713, the building's done. 1715 is when the pirates started coming through town, and she is stoked. She falls in love pretty quick. The guy she falls in love with is named James Bonney. So, Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Her career started here. This is the same era of Blackbeard, by the way. So, when they get there, James is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she wanted, right? So, he's a privateer, which basically means he's a spy for the British, and he's a coward in her eyes. A few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Calico Jack is named that because he wears the jackets of the men he kills. So
Okay.
he always has a nice jacket, Calico Jack. So, yes.
So when you were talking about her finding someone really quick and they moved, right after that, it sounded like it switched from a female voice to a male voice, like they were having a conversation. And it kept going back and forth. And then when you were done talking about that and moved on to another dude, stop.
Interesting. So let's see if the name James pops up in the middle of any of that. Oh, that's funny.
Yes, it is.
Do you have somebody faint here?
This is the. So
Yeah,
let me continue on. I'm going to continue with the answer. There's a lot going on here with this one, so let me get through this before we find out what else you've heard. So the guy she falls in love with, Jack has his own ship and she wants to be part of it, but girls curse pirate ships. You can't put a
Right.
girl on the crew.
It's a bad omen.
Right. So he makes a deal with it. If you dress like the crew and hide your gender, you could be part of the crew. She's okay with the cross-dressing bit because Dad used to hide her as a boy back home in Ireland.
Okay.
So she's like, whatever, let's do this. I'm a pirate now. She's allowed to be a female in his quarters. We'll put two and two together. She eventually gets pregnant, which means you can't have a pregnant pirate guy on the crew. Somebody's going to find out she's a girl. He drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby. Come back later. We'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby. Returns with no baby. We don't know what happened to the child. Also, she's dressed like a female. She doesn't care anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty mad, and he just captured another pirate crew. She's gonna go flirting. We're on guy number 3. The guy she's flirting with turns out to be... Wow. We're gonna explain all these wows. There's a lot. The guy that she's flirting with turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the crew that Calico Jack just captured.
So she's flirting with what she
A
thinks
female.
is another pirate, but is actually another female.
Exactly.
Okay.
Her name is Mary Reed. She convinces Mary to join the crew. Now she has a friend on the ship, and the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet to come and capture the ship. It's literally Anne and Mary, the only two that were not drunk enough to come up above deck and fight off the British fleet, meaning more ships than just one. So with that, it's obviously going to be taken, right? It's a lot of ships fighting just 2 ladies
Yeah.
on one ship. As they're being arrested, Anne's last words were to Jack, "You should have fought like a man instead of going down like a dog. Stop mocking me." See, mouthing everything. So, the word dog will show up here from time to time. It's not a ton of times, but it will show up. The judge, he wants to see the 2 men that fought back by themselves. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and his men, so they're dead and
So
gone.
her husband's dead.
Oh, this wasn't a husband.
Oh,
She
Jack.
was-
Jack. She didn't marry Jack.
Calico Jack tried to buy the dowry from Bonnie, and he refused.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
she was still married to James Bonnie this entire time.
Gotcha.
Did you say dog?
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard I told you when we were walking past, I heard the opposite of dog. I heard a cat meow, like really loud.
And there's a cat that will hang around here that I actually named Jack because of the story, obviously. And he's not
Street
Calico,
cat.
but I do call him Jack. So the judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. So if you hear my name, it's not me, it's the judge. He wants to see these 2 men by themselves. They reveal their gender, trying to save themselves. He doesn't care. They're still pirates. So they plead their bellies, which means they're both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's
Right.
illegal. So he says, fine. Sends them
Wait
both back
9
to jail.
months.
Right. We'll do it then. Dad's
she
still
comes
here
back
in
with a baby.
Charleston. He bails her out with all of his Irish money. She comes back home, remarries, has 4 kids. Or, by the way, that was guy number 4 that she remarried. And dies at the age of 84. That's all we know. As far as Mary goes, she died a year later, 1721, in a Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. So, use your imagination. I'm sure it was gross.
Right.
So, only 2 things that I can prove for certain here, because I've read tons of books. I've given you all the information I have that was common among those books, just because there's a lot of loopholes in this one. This is like hey, ask whatever you want to, but I do give you 2 questions if you want to go into that. The name of Calico Jack's ship, and the name of Anne Bonny's parents. I did not give those 2 things to you on purpose, so that way you actually had something to work with. However, let's talk about the fainting bit.
The wows.
The wows. So, a couple of months ago, late summer, early fall, I bring my group over here, 6 to 8 people, I can't remember exactly how many. Before I tell the story, a young man next to me starts to faint. I pick him up by the shoulders, up off the ground. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side. I take him over to the wall and we sit down. I send the boyfriend over to go get him a bottle of water. Comes back, starts drinking. He says he's feeling fine. I'm going to tell the story now, over by the powder magazine.
So you were over by the building.
Over by the wall.
Okay.
Tell the story. I send everybody out with their gadgets, everybody's working. They pull me aside and say, Nick, we need to tell you something. I'm like, what's that? We are 2 transgender males. It makes complete sense of why Ash fainted over there by the wall.
Because he's actually a female.
Actually a female. So, the reason why Gray is relevant here, last night we had somebody was transitioning,
Yeah.
I guess is the right term. His name was Gray. This was just last night.
And as he was saying, like, transgender is blah, 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 Gray and his sister were both like, yep, that makes a lot of sense.
And actually, I think that was the cousin.
Cousin?
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, and the reason why I knew it was different because London actually asked Gray's pronouns because that's obviously the
What you're
world she lives
supposed to
in,
do. Yeah.
right? And I'm listening to Dad, and he keeps calling him her.
Because
So-
Dad's not accepting.
No,
Gotcha.
Dad was a little bit of an older school.
Yeah.
So again, so that's how, like, London and I talked about it on the way home, and I was like, because at first I called Gray at him, I was like, oh, his device or whatever, so I paused, and I was like, hang on, there might be a different pronoun to be using here. London, unknowingly to me, was asking pronouns already, so we discussed it on the way home. I was like, okay, that makes sense now. So, kind of take that for what it's worth. Now the fact that we had the word faint, obviously from the story, and then we had Gray, a member from last night's tour.
But did Gray get
No.
lightheaded?
But it
Just
was-
that Gray was here.
But Gray was here, and it's recognized.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big deal. I don't think I've ever seen the word Gray on here before. This is desperately right now. So, you're already recording. What else have you heard? Because I know you're dying to tell me.
I know, right?
He's like busting at the seams here.
I'm trying to see if, when you're telling the story, I'm trying to see if anything makes it match.
Well, the point is not to try to match it. You're just supposed to randomly say the stronger, clear words that you hear, not looking for words that he's
Right.
saying.
So I do this on purpose. I don't give you a lot of the clues like birthdays or somebody's maiden name. I do that on purpose. So
Like
you
I said,
don't
yellow
have
randomly, and he hadn't told that
Right.
detail
I heard
yet.
like, take me away.
Okay.
That's what I heard. And that's really all I heard. Most of the other stuff is just static or like somebody's flicking a mic or singing piano.
Oh, I
I'm hearing a
forgot
lot
to
of
write
piano.
down Anchor and Crew.
That was in the alley
yeah.
back there.
Yeah, I keep track of like where all of this stuff was said.
You want to switch for a minute?
You sure you're not supposed to be a doctor? Your handwriting is
No, I'm a writer. Remember?
Your handwriting don't look like it.
I'm also writing in the dark. It's a talent you don't have. So
Ooh.
I need to type, okay? I can't write.
you don't know how to type either.
I do know how to type.
Can you beat me at typing?
No.
I didn't think so. Oh, I'm good.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
We just make fun of each other.
London forgets that I spend most of my time on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Dad forgets I spend most of my time on the phone. It's 2 different keyboards.
Don't want to believe.
Okay. We
First out of.
We usually get some kind of pirate something. Like last night we had Coast,
Mm-hmm.
and Come Sail Away would be something like anything dealing with boats and ships.
It's funny, when we were walking around the corner, after I said hands on knees,
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
It-
why you have knees too.
yeah, it gave me initials, but by the time we got to the corner and you started talking, I forgot. Then you told the story of the initials, so when you listen back, see if you hear, because I was like, I don't remember what letters it told me, so I didn't say it out loud.
Didn't you also talk about like Sue or whatever?
Yeah.
Right after you handed me this, we were walking away. I heard Sue,
Yeah, you said that.
and then I heard the cat. Hold on.
So hands on knees. That's obviously the knees bit.
What happens to anyone when they?
So you're looking for like specific words that are standing out, not phrases that you're able to decipher from the.
No, it's straight on.
You're straight? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get closer to the wall up there and just go have a seat for a few minutes and kind of see what comes up out of it.
Okay.
This
Go,
device,
boys. I'm trying to get someone in the screen. That's what I saw.
This device normally won't give us anything here. This is not the Pinckney Mansion site, so if it does give us anything, it's kind of something else is going off too.
Okay.
So
Something spiritual or something electrical?
usually spiritual. Electrical things will happen like right along the bush line up there because of the parking meter wires. But like over here and sitting by the wall, if we get anything at all, it's usually something is going off somewhere else too. So like a phrase will come through when this goes off. Again, I usually look for secondary clues. Like I don't always take one thing for granted. Now yellow, that's a great thing to have. You know, you had 30, so like I'll have to see if there's any other matchups to that specific story to kind of match it. Not allowed to keep. That would make sense here. It's kind of vague, but it's still, if you think about the fact that she, you know, maybe she wasn't allowed to keep that baby.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. She wasn't allowed to keep it.
Again, we'll see what comes up out of the 2 spirit boxes. And
Great.
yeah, too vague for me.
Great.
Yeah. How many terms do you have up there?
I don't know. 70.
Let's see. Let's see.
This is usually a dead zone for this, and this is, I hate to do this as, you know, the last stop because it's, you know, it's hit or miss.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, you never know. Some nights it's super great, other nights there's nothing.
Yeah.
You just never know. Because like I said, Anna said to be seen all over town. So, but nobody has any evidence of it.
She's probably chilling at Pineapple Park.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, look at the fountain. It's great.
I would actually love to go, because I know on the map where her plantation was. I don't think I've ever been
Women's Services.
there. Services.
Flash.
That actually makes sense.
It does.
Listen,
Oh God.
whenever she killed a man, she would show a breast to show that they were killed by a woman.
Really?
Yep,
That's funny. I think I like her.
most people do.
Yeah.
We like badass chicks.
But that actually makes sense.
It took me a second. I was just like,
That's why that's why you guys keep me around.
Yep. Bryce,
Because you own the business.
trade me for a sec. I want to listen to the spirit box. I know. Mom's taking your phone. Yeah.
oh, that was hard on my abs, bro.
Leaning back like that.
If that was my friend, I would have said, what? What existing abs?
I don't know. I'm just watching the words. Shocked. The dude that got killed was shocked.
Oh, that's right. You reminded me. I heard the word, while we're over there, I heard the word shot. But he was talking about the pirates fighting. I heard the word shot.
Did you show the picture of Bonnie? No.
Have you not been paying attention?
I haven't. I've been paying attention to my little words right here. Okay. And then annoying you every time it goes off.
Yes, the sky is cold. I know that.
Yeah.
Yes, the sky. I thought those were crosses. Maybe doesn't like mom. Oh my god, I told you I'd give the giveaway when I got home. Stop requesting, please.
It's hard to do, huh? It's focused.
What in the world? Looks like there's a demonic spirit in there. Cough up the hairball.
I can't hear you if you're talking to me.
I'm not.
Paul.
What was the name of Uncle Jack's ship?
Come on, Ann, tell us the name of the ship.
I just finished watching a video about food.
That's somewhat relevant too.
It is. You're making everything relevant.
I'm not.
You're lying.
We're next to Philadelphia Alley. What was it called?
Cow Alley. Moo cow. Anyways.
What in the world? I'm about to kick all these people out of my server.
99.
That's the amount of years after Sue's death that the photographer was here. It was 1888 and then 1987. So it's 99 years apart. It's also said that there's rumors about her birth. Some say 1697, others say 1699. So that one's, I'll see if I can find the link about the 99, but I know for sure the 99 is.
Okay, that's the second time I've gotten an RV.
Dio.
It's a commercial, but it gets loud when it's a commercial for RVs, but it gets loud when he says RVs and then it goes away.
It does that a lot. It does that a lot.
It says 99 again.
Go back to Sue.
It said 7.99, but the 99 was the loud part.
Well, not to mention Carl Booth, he's buried right there. So 7 twice. I'll look at Sue here.
Anything for Green Bay?
But she has the word beef. Philadelphia Alley, before it was called Diane Alley, it was called Cow. Because that's where they kept the livestock.
I only remembered that because during your podcast when you did that episode, you went moo cow. Increase.
One more term and then we're going to call her. Cause I mean,
Alright, Charlie.
she has a couple of good 99, so that's good stuff. We have 7 as well. Listen.
Increase. Sounds like we're trying to break into a car over there.
Come on, Ann, tell us the name of Calico Jack's ship. We had that here last night.
Yeah. Mom? My mom said she heard somebody yell when she was at the hotel.
I'm sure she said that she would call her the name or did she yell it?
I'm sure she screamed at me. And he lost the fucking memory.
Wasn't there a game you bought because of this place?
Still playing.
Is that on your Switch or on your
It's a
Switch?
Switch.
Dick.
Script.
Fear.
Pessimistic.
Definition, please.
Smells bark.
Alright, we're gonna wrap it up.
That doesn't give me a definition of
No.
what her word was.
No.
I'd like to know
Definition of what?
the word she said.
Pessimistic?
Pessimistic. It's like someone who doesn't believe. I'm pessimistic. They're telling the truth. Weary of. Is that a
You
good
said
Doubtful.
like don't believe.
Doubtful.
Like don't believe.
Yeah.
I heard like
Minister.
don't believe. Minister.
We're in the church. We always get a churchy term.
Oh,
Same
Jesus.
folks. Alright, so the name of her parents, William Cormack and Mary Brennan. So we had another Mary. Last night we heard Mary twice.
Really?
Yep. So made perfect sense. I do like to show you guys at least what Anne looked like, so you guys have that idea. It is not. It was hard to find a picture with her with a shirt on.
Like seriously? Only pictures of her are naked?
She's bearing a breast.
Oh, the pirate lady.
Mm-hmm. So that's what Anne looked like.
Okay.
So
She definitely does
pretty
look like a.
badass.
Yeah, I was about to say she looks bad.
The name of Calico Jack's ship was the Kingston. So don't expect Kingston to actually pop up, but it did.
What's this sound?
That's
Something's.
Yeah, that's my phone. It's probably
Okay.
my wife. I will take that from you. Nice steady hand. Makes for an easy video.